Oh, for sure.
All right, we'll go ahead and call this city council meeting for the city of Walton to order. The meeting is for June 11th at 7:30 p.m. If I could, Councilman Wainwright, would you care?
Sure. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us all together tonight. May you help us make the right decisions to help our community, our families, our neighbors, and our friends. Please give hope to those struggling in our community with illness. Please bless all of our fathers coming up here on Father's Day. Thank you, Lord, for all your blessings. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Wainwright. If I could I please get a roll call?
Barb?
Here.
John?
Here.
Bobby?
Here.
Rose?
Here.
Stephanie?
Here.
Matt?
Okay. We'll now open this up for a public hearing for the purpose of proposed use of municipal aid road funds in the amount of $72,886.76. Anybody? I believe I'm supposed to say what we are planning on.
Yeah, just in general, what we plan to use it for, and it's mainly to solicit input from citizens. They have ideas.
Currently, in this year's projects we have underway, currently we have Scott Street repairs, High Street repair, Chandler Drive, and we're currently also looking at repaving Bettinger, Plum, and Catalina as potential spots for this year's repairs. Any citizen comments on the expenditure of municipal aid? Okay, I will now close the public hearing and move on to announcements. June 29th, we have a free movie night at Walton City Park. It starts at dusk. Avengers of Infinity War will be showing. July 2nd, there will be a caucus meeting at 6:30 at City Hall. July 4th, city offices will be closed for Independence Day. July 9th, there will be another council meeting at 7:30 here at the Walton Senior Center. And July 20th will be free movie night at the Walton City Park at dusk, How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. If I could I please get an approval of the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Barb?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Okay. Can I get an approval of the previous minutes for May 14th regular council meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Barb?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Looks like we're going to have probably some citizen comments. I'm going to hold off on those for a second and let's go through Major Bill Mark with the Sheriff's Department.
Good evening, good to be with you all again tonight. I've already passed out the monthly report for sheriff's activity for the city of Walton to the council members, but basically breaks down as this. For the month of May, sheriff's deputies working in the city of Walton had 1,199 law enforcement events for the month of May. Some of the highlights of those were 5 911 hang-ups, 3 attempts to locate, 11 emotional crises, 40 auto accidents, 10 of those with injuries. That's about a 25% increase over the month of April. 23 alarm drops, 5 animal complaints, 20 business checks, 3 criminal mischiefs, 8 domestic disputes, 15 reports of drugged or intoxicated persons, 4 juvenile calls. We unlocked 10 vehicles, responded to 13 motorist assists, had 4 requests for information, 2 shoplifter calls, 456 spot checks, attempted civil or criminal service 43 times, invested 21 suspicious activity reports, took 5 theft reports, all of which were from vehicles. Deputies monitored 43 traffic complaints, stopped 214 cars, which is also about a 34% increase over April. Investigated 21 vehicle complaints and 6 wanted persons. I think I've got the glitch worked out with our records department. They're writing a new query for me, so for next month I should have be back to having a breakdown on number of arrests and citations for you. Like I said, it was a busy month. We had about 12% more activity in the city for the month of May as opposed to April, but that's kind of consistent with the change in the season. Everybody's out and about a lot more and getting in trouble more in the summer months. Like I said, we had 55 more traffic stops in the city in May versus April, but that's mainly attributed to the fact that we're using a lot of highway safety grant funding for additional traffic enforcement. For example, we did a speed blitz on I-75 between Walton and Richwood the Friday before Memorial Day, and wrote 79 citations in 3 hours. So a lot of that would have been in the city at that time. So we're trying to start off the holiday weekend right and encourage people to drive safely. And also, I think I touched on it before, but May was click it or ticket month, so we also had an increase in seatbelt citations in the month of May. So, any questions about that, or any other questions for me?
Yeah, Mayor Mark, did we ever come to a solution on the parking enforcement?
Yep. We're good to go. As you pointed out to me last month, we can write county citations in the city.
Okay. And then is there, good news is this year I didn't get a clicker or ticket event like I did last year. So I just want to let you know.
We modified your behavior.
Yes, you did, so that's good. Last year you got me, this year you didn't.
You hit. You were better at hiding.
No, I did. I remembered the spot that they were, and I clicked it. So the theft reports, you talked about vehicle thefts. I know that's been pretty large recently and last year.
And last month we were talking about thefts of cars, and these were thefts from cars.
Gotcha.
Which is, by and large, that's the most common theft report that we investigated. And the ones in the city are pretty similar to the ones that we investigate throughout the county. It's primarily people going through unlocked cars and taking valuables or money that people leave in their vehicles.
Sure. Now, are the residents, are they able, are you working with them with Ring doorbells and things like that for those type of events, or do you suggest that? I'm talking about the video cameras inside.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's been a great resource. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about ringing doorbells.
No, yeah. That's good. That's all I got.
Major Mark, kind of noticed a lot of that has been over off Mullen Drive, possibly over North Point. Some of the, maybe not necessarily this month, but thefts from cars and different things. Has that been, is it becoming a soft target, would you say, or?
I'm trying to think of where those 5 were. I don't think there was any in that neighborhood last month.
Okay.
I think maybe there's, I know there's one on Kookley. I think there's one on Old Stevenson Mill, but it seemed like it was kind of spread out around the city, and there wasn't any.
I always see
particular
something
area.
on, maybe, I don't know if they're going unreported or what,
Yeah.
you know.
And a lot of them are.
I see them on the
Yeah,
North
I mean,
Point
yeah.
Facebook page.
North Point.
They're always saying somebody was-
Aosta's, on the individual street pages, they have it as well. And then North Point, yeah, they may just be going unreported,
Yeah.
but.
And, and that's pretty
large.
common, we'll get a deputy, that'll respond to one address to take a theft report from, articles taken out of a car. And they'll have, several neighbors come to them and go, well, yeah, I had things taken out of my car too, but I wasn't gonna report it. So, yeah, the unreported thefts are very, very common.
Yeah, okay.
And all I can say is, we encourage people, A, lock your car, that's what the locks are for. And please, don't leave valuables in your cars. I mean, unfortunately, we, get thefts report of, iPads and tablets and unfortunately firearms being left in unlocked cars, and just take care of your personal property. So that's my public service announcement for the night.
We appreciate that. Anybody else have anything for Major Mark?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Major Mark.
You borrow one?
All right, from the Fire District, Chief Joey Vest.
Morning, man.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All the council members has got a paper printout of my reports, but just to hit on a few highlights of what I provided you. Walton Fire Department responded to 2 building fires during the month of May. Neither one was within the city limits. One was at the northern end of our district down off of East Frogtown Road. And then another was a mutual aid assistance call down in Crittenden with a house fire they had as well. The EMS assists, we had 26 of those during the month of May, and those are actually EMS related calls that a fire engine is called to assist them with because additional help's needed with the patient's that critical. Had 10 auto accidents, and we're averaging about 2 to 3 overdoses a week right now. So we've seen where things have kind of slowed down quite a bit, and now that the weather's getting nicer, we're starting to see an uptick in that again. Sadly to say, some of these overdoses that we're seeing is in conjunction with the motor vehicle crashes, because people are out doing the drugs, and they're getting under the wheel of a car and driving, and then at that point, they wind up going unconscious or something and then crash. So, additionally, I will do a public service announcement myself and tell you all we are seeing a little bit of a return in cocaine in the area. So before we was just dealing with a lot of heroin, a little bit of meth. Well, now we're starting to see some cocaine come back, which is unfortunately not a good thing. As far as the day-to-day operations of the fire department, we've had during the month of May 78 fire-related incidents in all, and a little over 100 additional EMS incidents that we responded to. Day-to-day operations in-house, we are working on revamping our inspections process. I'm drawing up some policies that I want to take to our fire district board and seek approval on to help beef that up. One of the things that we are going to do is what we call high target hazard areas, which is particular businesses with a potential large loss of life in the event of a fire, or maybe they got some extremely flammable chemicals, things like that they store in bulk at that location. Instead of doing an inspection there once a year, we're going to start doing those every 6 months, just to ensure that everybody in the area and working at those places are kept safe as possible. A good thing with that, in addition to the additional safety, is this in part is something overall that we're trying to accomplish, and that is to lower our department ISO rating. Insurance companies rate fire departments on a scale of 1 to 9. And right now, we are at a 4 here in Walton. So our goal is hopefully within the next year, maybe 2, but the goal is within the next year to get our ISO rating down to a 3. So we're making some changes operationally as quickly as we possibly can, and as time and money allows us to. But once we do achieve that, then homeowners, business owners, they'll see a decrease in their property insurance. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
All right. Thank
Thanks,
you all.
Chief.
Thank you.
All right. Cardinal Engineering, Matt Bogan.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to go out of order of what's on here, just because I think one topic is going to produce more discussion than the other. Starting with the road projects, regular blacktop is mostly complete with the resurfacing contract we put out. We're very happy with the work they've done. It looks good. I think they're still doing a little bit of restoration here and there, so we're not quite ready to pay everything out, but yeah, for the most part, they've got everything resurfaced. After Roger and I met with them in the field, we made some changes to the terms of the contract. We had asked, or it came up at the pre-con meeting about putting in fiber reinforcement on Chandler just to give a little bit extra strength to hold up to the heavy traffic it gets with the heavier vehicles, which of course brought the cost up, but we had them reduce the milling to offset that sum. So the net increase on Chandler was $5,339. We also, some of the drainage improvements that we're looking at on High and Scott Street, they were able to do fix that just with the milling and surfacing rather than actually adding structure. So we'll see when the final invoice comes in, but I think we probably saved about $12,700 there. So yeah, they had a good meeting with us out there and looking at things before they got started. So and then the safety improvements on Beatrice that we had talked about recently, I think that, from talking to Roger, that's probably going to be in our resurfacing schedule for the next year or so. So instead of having regular put down permanent striping, we'll just do some temporary striping just to get through the meantime, and then revisit it later after we've milled and resurfaced it, so we're not doing the same work twice. And then, as the mayor mentioned earlier, probably our next street project will be Catalina, Plum, and a little section of Bellinger. And the estimate for that is $81,536. So whenever council's ready, I'll get the bid documents together and we'll go ahead and advertise that. And then the second part is of course the High Street pedestrian bridge. So we had been waiting on word back from the railroad since March when we made our last submittal, and for a long time our calls and emails and whatever had gone unanswered. And just yesterday we got comments back from them, and as you remember from a few months ago, they had asked us to replace the abutments on both sides. We objected to that we didn't really think it was necessary for the project. They eased off of it some, and then they came back and said, no, we really think that's, we'd really rather go ahead and have it replaced. All we had gotten up until that point was a verbal approval, so we didn't really have a whole lot to hang our hat on, unfortunately. But Councilman McDonald had just a random chance encounter with their local bridge inspector last week, and he got to talking with him and asked if he had any familiarity with the project, and passed on his contact information. So I talked to him a couple times, I met him out there today, he looked at what's going on, and at first he's like, I don't really see any, I don't see how the drainage really affects you guys, and then he was looking at the west side, the side towards town, and he's like, well, and if you're not familiar with it, the abutment wall on that side has, it's terraced, it has kind of 3 tiers to it. And he said, well, okay, I can kind of see where the lowest tier, or maybe the bottom and the middle layer may need to be pulled back. If they widen the track in the future, that would be where the drainage ditch would go. So he's like, I kind of see where they're coming from, but I want to do what I can to help you guys get through it, or to not do any more than you absolutely need to. So he's going to make some calls internally. He doesn't personally know who's been the holdout, who's really been pushing the issue of the abutments, but he's going to try to make some calls and see if he can at least talk them down to fixing one side, or removing the lowest tier and rebuilding it, whatever, so that we're not doing both sides in their entirety. And then, Mayor Bryan's been making some phone calls on his side, and pulling some political connections to try and get some relief for us there. So that's the only item that's still in play for our permit approval. If we can get out of any of it, we'll definitely do it to cut back on the expenses, and if they just completely refuse to, then we'll work through that also. So yeah, if anybody's got any questions.
If we don't get any relief on that, what will be the estimated cost of replacing these 2 abutments?
I sent an email to our geotechnical engineer to get an estimate on that, and the engineer that's been working with us I think he's on vacation this week, so I didn't hear back from him by the time of the meeting. From talking to the mayor, just rough ballpark estimate, I would say somewhere 75 to 100,000. The one thing I asked Mr. Tyson, the inspector, if there was any possibility of getting any kind of financial assistance or construction assistance from the railroad, and he said they do offer some grants, or they do financial assistance, but it's usually for police and fire departments and local safety officials, because they usually help them a lot with enforcement, safety enforcement things around the track. So, but he said that they would probably be able to, he could make some calls, and they could probably help us out with either helping with demolition of the abutments. They would remove it, and we would construct the new ones, or providing temporary flaggers for the kind of the initial phases before we're actually putting the bridge in, where we're doing we're out there for a month at a time, or 2 months actually working on it every day. So they're gonna he's trying his best to be cooperative with us, because he kind of feels bad for the position we got put in, getting this sprung on us relatively late in the game.
Good job, Bobby.
So the street, the vehicles, you
Mhm.
said they're gonna put temporary striking there,
Yeah.
what about the sign?
I think they can put the signs out now, and when we get around to resurfacing it, we'll just hopefully won't even be disturbing them, or we can just move them out of the way and put them right back after it's done.
Thank you.
Sure. Anything else? Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. All right, before we move on, I'll open the floor up to citizens' comments. You guys must have seen our YouTube channel. Decided to come on in.
My name's Brooke Stewart. We're here tonight, and a couple of other residents on the High Street will probably soon join us. We've been having some ongoing issues at 67 High Street. I'm fed up. I just got my father out of the hospital today. He's not doing well. Sunday, it's every other day the police are at that house. Some residents are afraid to do anything because of the motorcycle gang affiliation. Sunday, they were down there twice. One of the guys that lived there, my niece and I, he was totally whacked out on something. We helped him, tried to help him get out of the middle of the road so he didn't get killed, which we probably should have left him. We got cussed, we put him back down on the road. But today, as I'm leaving to go pick my father up from the hospital, I'm waiting for my mother to come out of the house, and car pulls up, truck pulls up on our property across the street next door to them. And right there in front of us, it's happened many times, drug deal. Plain as day. I thought it was my nephew, her son, pulling up in his truck, and I waited. I pulled my car down there, and I said, and I was not nice. I said, if you're going to do any of your drug dealing, get off of our property. And they stayed right on property. They don't care. I'm getting really concerned, number one. My brother's on the road. My sister-in-law is at home by herself. My parents aren't doing well. I have to work during the day. My niece has to work during the day. I'm just, as today I talked with the deputy, Castle, we're here today because he says everything has to be documented. I have it on video. We're going to continue taking pictures. We're putting up more cameras, but it's getting out of hand. And I grew up on that street.
Sure.
I moved back to Walton to help my parents. And I tell you what, I am embarrassed to say that I live on High Street. I am literally embarrassed. If I could win the lottery and get my parents off that street, they'd be gone in a minute. But it just seems like every time the officers come down, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Everybody on the street seems to think that they're informants because nothing gets done unless there's a warrant out for one of the 10 that live in that house of arrest. There's young children in that house. I can't imagine what those kids are going through.
They
An
fight dogs.
elderly woman that
They're doing
Sunday was just abused verbally like crazy. But that's their business. I'm here because I'm tired of seeing the cops there. I'm getting kind of worried about our own life, to be quite honest, because of the affiliation. And I think at this point in time, it's almost that we have to start taking some things in our own hands. I'm documenting as much as I can, but I think it's gonna take somebody's gonna get hurt. I mean, it's getting to the point, my brother, he could have gone to jail Sunday.
I guarantee it.
And I'm telling you, I'm right there with him because we've had enough.
Okay.
I mean, I sit there just blatantly, I called the officers, there was no need to have an officer come out, he was already gone. I have it on video, I gave everything to them, I'm emailing him everything I possibly have. I'm here to find out from the city, what else we need some help on that street.
I mean, it's our property. What right do they have to come and sell drugs on our property?
They have none.
And my other question, Mayor, is, of course, we have signs up that says no parking, private property. At what point in time, what else do we need to do? If they're back on my property again, I don't know what's gonna happen, to be quite honest. And I mean, it's not a threat whatsoever, but you know what? It comes a point in time, we can protect our own. And it's getting really, really,
I mean, they
really
could
bad.
kill us and be gone before the police get there.
It's not just the human beings, they fight their animals. You guys are dogs chasing kids up the road. I mean, terrified.
The
I mean,
garage is a
pit
meth,
bulls.
they make meth in the garage. I mean, but we have to sit and watch and see this kitty sit on our porch.
It's twice a month you can smell it. You can smell it from my back deck.
Okay.
We've told police officers, call it in. Okay, we
We
call it in.
call it in.
We call it in. What do we have to do? I mean,
And
it's
Sunday,
ridiculous.
and I don't know the law. I mean, I worked it, but, you know, it's pretty sad when you have 2 police officers, which I thought Sunday, they did a good job. But you have the guy who was totally illegal, that her and I tried to pick up on the road, get in their face and said, you got your camera on, you're on my property, and cussing them to pieces. They get in their cars and
They
leave.
leave. I thought that was public intoxication.
He was on the sidewalk, and we should have left him in the road,
Or
to be
just
honest, but
something.
anyway. It's just getting, it's getting really out of hand.
But he almost got ran over. That's why we tried to pick him up. We
Sure.
tried to do the right thing. Like, yeah, you're a junkie, you're a drug head, you're a nuisance to this community, but you're a living soul. So we tried to help him for nothing. And the cops just, they did nothing too.
But there's-
Altogether, 5 cops, 2 different occasions,
Sunday.
within 2 hours.
And Mayor, there's
Nothing.
continuously, I mean, during the day, I can't stay at home to keep video and everything, but continuously, on a daily basis, there's cars in and out of there, they park wherever they damn well please, they park, and city's been, I mean, police officers have been down there, they keep their cars there at the stop sign, show Walton and High Street, they park on the street, it's just crazy. I mean, they do whatever they want, and it's just getting to where I'm getting concerned, very concerned.
Sure.
And even probably being here, I mean, it's like, I don't even know. You know,
Honestly, there could be a sign up that says, get your drugs here. They pull up right in front of the house, the guy comes out, boom. It's like,
Broad daylight.
this is out in broad daylight in the middle of the street.
It's just not one person in the house.
Sure.
The mother, the son, and, or, there's about 10 people in that house. And it's coming and going all the time, but it primarily from, I've only seen Zach, the son, and the mother
And the
doing it.
Well, the poor grandmother just sits on the front porch.
I'm sure
This is
the
the,
fire
Shell's
chief could
property.
tell you how many
Oh, really?
overdoses was on 67
Yeah.
High Street.
Out of those
Grandma died on the
overdoses,
porch.
over those overdoses, I
Yeah, that's the
guarantee
one that we're
you,
leaning.
over half of them were on High Street, 67 High Street. The grandfather just died not too long ago, and you know what we had to hear on sitting on our porch? I only gave him 2,
To what?
but, you know, it's just, it's getting serious.
Well, ma'am, I can tell you, and thank you for coming. I can tell you, this house has had, we are very aware of this house. I know the sheriff's department is very aware of this house. I can't speak for any investigations that they may do, because honestly, I don't know. But I will say from a city standpoint, they've been under multiple nuisance violations. They are currently in our code enforcement process and are non-compliant to this point. And I can't say for sure, but they're facing very, very hefty, in the tens of thousands of dollars currently. I don't know how much longer they're going to be a problem, but we're going to keep doing anything from our end that we can.
The officer that I spoke with, the Deputy Castle, took everything, and at this point in time, everything that I provided for him today, I mean, they were just out there Sunday, but everything I provided for this deputy today, he was sending it to the drug enforcement people, but we are putting up cameras on that side because it's happened, like I said, it's happened more than once, and I know there's only so much that you can do as a city, but I'm here tonight because this is getting very serious.
I mean, because we're taking our lives in our hands by going out there
And their
and
affiliation.
trying to take a picture or whatever.
But it's the only thing that, I mean, we're trying to help the officers, I mean, they have to see it, I mean.
Exactly, because if they don't see it, there's no proof, innocent until proven guilty. But, I mean, I will be completely honest. There's a drug dealer, I know he's a drug dealer, y'all might be sending, something else besides an ambulance. I am done with the drugs from that house, I deal with it on a daily basis. Today, me and her together, normally this is something one of us would have did. Both of us have to go over there to mow. Both of us have to go over there to weed eat. Because you know what? We don't know what's coming out that back door. It's ridiculous. And it's getting worse every day. Nothing's, cops pull up, see, we didn't see nothing go. What's it going to take? A dead body laying there? And somebody saying, hey, I looked out my window. There are so many people on High Street that's afraid of these people. I'm not afraid. I'm done. If I have to live in fear, I might as well be dead anyway. I'm done. I'm by myself 99% of the time. I have to do what I have to do to protect me, my family, and my property. Don't come care what you do on your property. Don't come on my property and my family's property and sell drugs. I have zero tolerance for drugs. My family has been torn apart over drugs, so I have zero tolerance.
Understand?
So something needs to be done before I end up losing my grip.
Okay. Well, don't lose your
What
grip.
I'm really concerned about, Mayor, and I know, you know my dad, he's stubborn as hell.
Oh, I love your dad.
He's stubborn, he's not doing well.
I'm sorry to hear
He's
that.
not doing well at all. And with this and him finding out today, we kept all of this from him. And you know how he can be.
I had a
I'm
very
concerned-
lengthy conversation with your father about that property, maybe a month or so back.
Yeah, I'm just more concerned because his heart is not doing good at all. I mean, I just got him out of the hospital today. And with this, and if it continues, I'm here to tell you right now, my daddy can be stubborn as hell, and we butt heads all the time, but I'll tell you what, something happens to my father, and he gets upset over that place, God help him, because I'm right with her. We're not the typical women to sit back and look out the window. We act first, and that's why I'm here tonight. I'm not, no threats, no nothing, but I'm here to tell you right now, my dad gets worked up and this does something to his heart, or something, my brother, because he's out on the road and he's driving out of state, and he's about to blow a gasket over what I had to tell him today. And it's just, we're just asking for help.
Like,
Sure.
it doesn't even, like, the people who live there, I get that's one thing, but like on Sunday, their company went the neighbor, he's not here, but right next door, which you know what house I'm talking about, right for the stop sign, after his wife,
Went after his wife.
and he about lost his shorts just running to her. So it's not even just them, like, it's the company that they bring in there, and it's just like, who are you to be talking to any of us? We don't even know where you live.
And we heard the officer, the first trip they made, this was only a couple hours later that they had to come back, tell Zach, who lives there, if he is caught outside of that house, he was going to jail.
He came right back out. He didn't go to jail. Cop just left.
I mean, I know there's certain things that the officers can do, abiding by the law, but
Sure.
it's out of hand.
We can't post an officer outside 24 hours a day.
Exactly.
They gave
So we have the
any
right to
chance,
protect ourselves.
any chance Major Mark and Gabe that, you know, the arbitrary officer that sits at Cincinnati Bell there for the stop sign could.
Yeah,
maybe
that's
go-
what I was about to
Maybe
suggest.
go over to High Street and maybe save some citizens $150 stop sign ticket. And
definitely.
maybe head over to High
Maybe
Street
go
instead. That might be
everybody
better
there.
use of resource in the city of Walton.
Oh, yeah, they run all
I'll
the
be
stop
happy to talk
signs.
with the ladies after the meeting.
Okay.
I'm not going to discuss this.
Sure, I get you.
or any other-
I know, I'm just making a
On the
point.
record at a public meeting.
Sure, I get it. All right, that's all I have.
The city could make a lot of money there. Speeding and stuff.
I mean, if she parks in the barn and she comes in late at night, I'm on my front porch watching her till she goes in the house.
Sure.
Because, so I'm losing sleep,
Okay.
and that's not good when I lose sleep.
All right.
But we're just here, just.
Well,
We're trying to
I
protect
appreciate
you.
it, and I'm sorry you're going through this. Please feel free to speak with Major Mark after the meeting.
Sure.
He's kind of a scary-looking guy, but he's a sweetheart, and he'll help you all he can. I
We've been
promise
seeing
you.
lately, he looks friendly.
Okay, all right. Other citizens' comments, Brent?
I'll go ahead and jump in.
Yep.
I am here tonight to kind of ask a favor to a certain degree of the city and the council. As you all are aware, we have one of the pocket parks in Aosta Valley currently as it stands. What I would like to propose is that we would use HOA funds, so it would be at no cost to the city, to extend the area of the fenced-in area of the park and add a few structures inside the park. Obviously, the community is growing. We're not going to have some additional space to put like an additional pocket park for probably another few years until they open up the backside of the property. So as the community grows, that park is, going to be kind of small to fit all of, kind of the residents and then anybody else in the city that may come out and use it. The area behind the current park, that sits in between the park and the current basketball court that was just put in, is essentially swampland. It's almost unusable. There is sitting water there probably 80% of the year. And it's, kind of a nuisance for people that are using that area. So what I would like to do is basically turn that area from a swampland into additional space for the park. It would have the same style fencing, the brown vinyl coated fencing, same height, all that good stuff. Same, we would pay for the additional mulch to be put in at 2 cubic feet or 2 feet deep to code and all that good stuff, as well as the additional border along the inside of the fence line to do so. So obviously we would need your all's approval to do this project because, as you know, the land was given, so you all do actually physically own the land that we would want to make this addition to the current park. I have already done a fair amount of legwork. I met with Mills Fence this morning at the property to figure out the dimensions, to kind of get some cost estimates, things of that nature going. And the two structures that we're specifically wanting to put in at this particular point would fit well in with the safety regulations. One of them has a 10 foot by 10 foot footprint, of which would be a 20 foot by 20 foot safety footprint. The other one is 6 foot by 6 foot and would need a 7 foot by 7 foot safety footprint, all of which would obviously fit into the additional almost 2,000 square feet that we would be adding to that pocket park. So this is an early proposal just to see the willingness of the city and the council to, kind of give us the nod to do this. Like I said, no money's gonna come out of the city's pocket up front to do any of this. We will be paying for it in full out of our HOA accounts. I did make a rough to scale, if you would like to see it. It was very quick. I did it today so I could get it here real quick if you wanted to just see it, just to kind of see what I was talking about. But it would leave roughly 10 to 15 feet in between the fence and the edge of the concrete of the basketball court behind the actual goal. So there would still be plenty of safety room, if a ball or if somebody, came running off the court, things of that nature. So, like I said, we will do all the legwork. We will do all the work. We will foot all of the bills. We just need your all's willingness to allow us to do this, essentially speaking, on city-owned property.
Members of
And I'm
council?
happy to answer any questions anybody has.
I don't really have any comments on it, so much, I mean,
Possibly, we need to discuss it or something.
I would think it might be better discussed at our next caucus meeting, possibly.
Sure. Yeah, and like just to give you an idea, our game plan and our goal would be to just have this done, prior to the end of July. So it's not like it's something that is super pressing, but it does take three weeks to get the equipment ordered and get it delivered. So, we were kind of hoping we could get it done while the weather was decent before, fall and all that, so
Sure.
it can be used prior to this coming winter. So, yeah, I'm happy to reappear at any meetings to discuss any of that stuff. But and at that point, I would have the estimate from Mills Fence. I called them because that's who originally put in the fence. So we wanted it to match, make sure color schemes were good. One of the structures we want to put in is called a Hercules climber. It's essentially monkey bars with like a chin-up bar and a lot of things attached for some of the a little bit older kids, the 8 to 12-year-olds that are using the park. Right now, it's a fair amount of just for basically under 7-year-olds. So the little bit older kids don't have a ton going on. And then the other one would be a 4-person spring bouncer. Essentially, if you think about kind of like of like a seesaw, but on a spring where you can kind of bounce a couple different ways on that and things. But I think it will be good. You know, there'll be nice additions. They'll be, you know, colorful. It won't be just plain galvanized steel. It's green coated galvanized steel. So, you know, the color scheme will kind of play along with what's in there, and it won't be bad on the aesthetics of the actual park. Matter of fact, I think it'll be a nice addition to get rid of that swampy area, which I think some people have already complained about mosquitoes and trying to get it sprayed for mosquitoes.
I'm very aware of the, of the Zika virus, yes. I've heard about it ad nauseum, yes.
So I'm trying, I'm trying to help out by trying to get rid of that area as well. But,
Currently, David Whitehouse of Boone County Parks is looking at around that area where some of the standing water is, at potentially putting down a clay base. I have not heard anything back from him, but I imagine that just throwing mulch over it isn't probably, I don't know, I'm not the engineer, but, I would almost like to see some of that clay put in there as well, but I mean, putting the mulch over it might help alleviate the problem. I don't know. I don't necessarily myself have any problems with it, but I don't have the final say.
and
I'm not going to give the final say on this. How about that?
And I'm perfectly happy with working with David. Actually, if he's the short, stockier gentleman,
He is.
I actually know him. So I'd be happy to meet with him and kind of discuss if they wanted to do that before we put the mulch down. I'd be perfectly fine, having that happen. But like I said, I think it's, instead of putting our own, next to the basketball court on the area that we do currently own, I figured it'd be nice to still keep everything enclosed in with the playground, with the kids being there and all that kind of stuff. So that is what I am here for.
Okay.
Cool.
Mayor, if you're gonna consider talking about this at council or a caucus or whatever,
Okay.
maybe if you could get a copy of the plan and disseminate
Sure.
it to the other council
Sure.
members.
Yeah, I'll put
You
it
don't want to
together
give me your
much nicer.
shoebox?
Yeah, I mean,
lid?
it's not shoebox, it's on graph paper.
Oh, okay.
It's got
Looked like a piece of cardboard there. I was trying to figure out, I thought maybe you cut the inside of
No,
it.
no, it's all I can
Some,
scratch. It's all I
some
can
dress
scratch
shoes
up
from
from,
Men's Warehouse or
Well,
something.
It's all right, it's part of the course. Most of the game's plans are on bar napkins, so that's good.
I was gonna also.
Fair enough.
I was gonna also suggest pictures of the facilities that you wanna put up.
Oh,
there.
I do, I have those on my phone. I can
Good.
put it all
Get those to
together
the
in kind of
city
a
and they can look
dossier, for you.
I would appreciate
Yeah,
that.
100%.
Appreciate that. Next. Sir? All right. We will move on to business then. A few short items and we'll get everybody out of here. All right, resolution 2019-03, adopting and approving the execution of municipal aid co-op program contract between the Incorporated City and the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet Department of Rural and Municipal Aid for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2019, as provided in the Kentucky Revised Statutes, and accepting all streets referred to therein as being streets which are part of the Incorporated City. Anything further we need to add to that?
Well, I would just add, Mayor, that we do have it in your packet. You just read the title to the resolution. What that does is authorizes the signing of the attached road aid, municipal road aid cooperation agreement. Earlier, we had the public hearing where we anticipated $72,886.76 to go towards this cause. What this does is authorizes the mayor to sign that agreement to accept that money for the purposes stated therein. And this is on boilerplate. You've seen this many years in a row, and this is just the next step. So if you want to accept that money, you can do that by motion.
Motion.
Second.
Barb,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Stephanie.
Yes.
All right. Motion passes. Next will be a municipal order 2019-04, reappointing Caitlin Fugate and Edward Seedor to the Walton Board of Adjustments. What are the terms on?
It's a four-year
4 year.
term, Mayor, will expire on June 30, 2023.
Okay.
The four-year term is consistent with the statute. As you indicated, you're reappointing them under the statute in order to take office for the additional term. Council would need to approve your appointment.
Okay.
They can do
Motion.
that.
Second.
Barb,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Stephanie.
Yes.
Okay. All right, now to the big stuff. We have a second reading of ordinance 2019-03 of the City of Walton, amending the City of Walton Code of Ordinances by creating a new section in order to prohibit overnight parking in parking areas provided for the city's pocket parks.
Mary stole my thunder, that was the title. The summary is in section 1 there, where overnight parking in areas provided for the city pocket parks is strictly prohibited. This joins other areas in the city where we either prohibit or regulate parking. And this is second reading, so consideration for adoption, you can do that by motion.
Motion.
Second.
Barb,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Stephanie.
Yes.
Okay. That concludes our business for the moment. Council comments? Barb?
Only thing I have is to wish all the fathers here on council a happy Father's Day, and all the fathers in the city, happy Father's Day to them too.
Thanks, Barb. I have nothing.
Wow.
Sally?
No.
All right. I'll go with that too. Thank you, everyone who came out. For those of you watching at home,
We increased attendance by 7,000% over last night.
7,000% from our last meeting.
Pretty awesome.
All right, meeting adjourned. Oh, wait, I need a motion for that, don't I? Sorry.
Motion.
Second.
Barb,
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Stephanie.
Yes.